Stay in touch with us on Facebook and Instagram at Unique Yet Connected. You are now listening to episode 62 of Unique Yet Connected podcast. The theme for this episode is, if your partner is uninvested in your relationship. Listen to this.
You choose the perfect match for your availability. If you are 50% available, you choose a partner who is also only 50% available to you. Let me say again, you choose the perfect match for your availability. If you are 50% available, you choose a partner who is also only 50% available to you.
Hello, brilliant souls in and around the world. Nolitha Fenton is my name. Dolokas is my clan name, and this is episode 62. A warm welcome to Unique Yet Connected podcast. As always, Kinga and Nika on the other side of the virtual. Over to you, Kings, and happy 2025.
Thank you, Noli. Hello, dear listeners. Hello, Nick. Happy New Year. I am Kinga Silaji.
Thank you for joining our movement of translating this wisdom of systemic family constellations into a practical language that all of us can easily understand and implement in our daily lives. In this episode, we will explore the difference between a counter-dependent stage in a relationship and someone being counter-dependent. According to the Seattle Liberation Healing, someone with codependency has learned to survive by avoiding or pushing relationships, emotions, and vulnerability away in order to protect themselves. While this has worked for some part of their life as a short-term solution, long-term this can cause relationship difficulties, substance use, and addiction issues, and they can also avoid emotions and healthy communication. How they can also avoid healthy boundaries and issues with managing life transitions, so a relationship in its counter-dependent stage is a healthy stage, where you and a partner work through the agreed healthy boundaries in your relationship. This agreement doesn't come easily, but it's a worthwhile work. It's worthwhile when you are in disagreement. This phase can make you feel like you want to pull away from your partner, but in reality, you are always looking forward to get closer with each other. It seems like confusion that you're looking forward to get closer, Kings, with each other, but you also want to pull away. And I've experienced this. Is this the stage that triggers the makeup and breakup, or threatening to move out if you are staying together, only to pack your things and unpack them again?
We talked about the difference between your being counter-dependent or your relationship being in the counter-dependent state. A short answer is that in you as a person, counter-dependency means fear of attachment and of getting close to someone else. When you are in a relationship, like the one you asked about, you are already involved. You already leaped over your fear of getting hurt when you started a relationship. Counter-dependent is not an easy stage of a relationship, and yes, I agree that you often think about moving out. This is true, but you two have already committed to each other, you are already involved. On the other hand, when someone is showing signs of counter-dependency, there is a fear of getting hurt, and the sentiment is that it is better not to get involved than to get hurt.
So there is a relationship stage, so I think this is important for us to keep this in mind. There is a relationship stage, and there's also a person who is in protection, behaviors. And what I mean by that is that they're protecting themselves through their behavior?
Often you see with sensitive people that they feel that whatever happens is either happening to them, because of them, or it is about them. Because of their sensitivity, they avoid change. Managing life transitions is difficult or becomes difficult. The issues that needs to be solved become very big. But we can avoid. You have to get involved in life to solve problems. When you cannot do that, then you pull back into this small but safe space, which is a very lonely space.
Yeah. Is this the same as someone who doesn't want to invest emotionally?
Being uninvested in your relationship has more to do with the fear of commitment and hurt that originates in unresolved trauma. It is not about wanting to invest or not. I'm just leaving a little gap here so we can all digest this. However, you as a partner might experience this as your partner doesn't want to be invested in your relationship. There would be the need to be connected from his side, but this need has been buried away very deep. To allow it to show can overwhelm him. Another person cannot give us what we need. Yet you tend to pull back when you don't get what you need. You might use different mechanisms to numb the hurt. Substance abuse is one of them. Building a wall between you and the others is another common way to protect yourself.
I know we're talking about romantic relationship, and can this also happen in any relationship? A counter-dependent person can have fear of being vulnerable or connecting at a deeper level in a friendship or with some members of the family. Am I right in that?
Yes, in any type of close relationship, codependency tends to be the one which feeds counterdependency. As a codependent person, you lose the boundaries between you and the others. When the other shows sign of wanting to create boundaries in the relationship, it's misunderstood as wanting to separate. The codependent will feel abandoned and unloved and try to protect himself from hurt by putting a wall up. The wall is a rigid, impenetrable boundary that becomes a division between the two of you. A small thing for you might be a big thing for another person.
Thank you for the clarity. So, with the counter-dependency, we're talking about people who are avoiding and pushing away connection, even though in some cases it might be their deepest need. How does counter-dependency show up in a constellation session? Are you able to share an example of a constellation session? You are still listening to episode 62. The theme for this episode is, if your partner is uninvested in a relationship, listen to this. Remember, when you comment, ask questions, like and share our content and links, you help us grow and change lives together. Like us on Facebook and on Instagram.
From my constellation experience, as a counter-dependent, you feel like a princess locked up in the tower. You would like to be rescued, to move out from the tower, but there is an inability to do so. We have also seen constellations where the quantum field was frozen. The field is where we map out and assess the current inner beliefs about the situation we are working with. In a frozen field, nothing moves. This shows us that an unresolved traumatic event is affecting the system. Even when there is a willingness in the client to move closer, he is unable to take a step towards the other. There is a need to know everything before moving towards someone, but in life it is impossible to know everything that will happen. You don't even know what will happen in the next moment. So you are frozen in the inability to make the necessary movement to get closer to another. This assumed non-investment in a relationship can be a visible sign of an unprocessed earlier personal or generational trauma.
I've assumed there is a non-investment when it comes to most fathers in the African communities. Most of the fathers couldn't connect emotionally. And I've seen this mostly in the men in my family. Most of them, like my father, did not avoid relationships because they were married, but they seem non-invested because of this. Most of the children didn't experience a deeper connection with their fathers. Yes, there was blood connection, which maybe runs deep, but not deeply like, I don't know, human connection. I knew my dad loved me, though it felt distant emotionally. And the alcoholism makes me realize that maybe he was dealing with some level of counter dependency. I don't know.
When you are fully in counterdependency, you won't be in a relationship. You will not choose to be in a relationship. Codependency and counterdependency are the two opposite sides of the same coin. Most of us, we live our lives somewhere in between these two opposite choices concerning engaging in a relationship. Almost all of us have some co and counterdependency tendency. Concerning the unengagement of a partner, two things came into my mind. First, boys are raised to separate themselves from their emotions. They are expected to be level-headed and to keep to themselves, to be the rock of the family. When you are the rock, emotional outbursts are not allowed. My question is, do our men really suffer from counterdependency, or are they expected to keep their emotions to themselves?
That's a great question. I would like to hear most men respond to. Maybe Nick can have a conversation with us outside of this. Thanks, King.
The second is, when you look at a relationship, for a relationship to stay alive, the two partners constantly have to work on balancing it. When one person is emotional and sensitive, the partner of this person has to stay level-headed in the interest of the common goal of saving the relationship. He becomes the rock of the relationship. In a relationship that doesn't move beyond and gets stuck in the counter-dependent stage, these roles become rigid. The rock is reliable but unfeeling. The sensitive is engaged but unpredictable emotionally.
Okay, so in a relationship, people can take on roles that they can become rigid in, so I get that. Sure.
From experience, a relationship starts to shift when you work on releasing yourself and your partner from the rigid roles that you have unwillingly taken on. The changes may surprise you. It happens that one of you gets more stable and less emotional. It will allow the other to start to show his emotions and become more vulnerable.
This is making me think of my family dynamic. My mom and dad didn't seem emotional to me, and it feels like became too sensitive and too involved. On the other hand, it seemed like there were rigid roles between my parents. My mom was the rock, reliable, and my dad was unpredictable because of his alcoholism. So I don't know what that means. Maybe my mom had to keep it together, unmoved emotionally, and my dad had to suppress his feelings by drinking too much. Who knows?
The suppressed emotions of your parents often come out in their children. As a child, you see and feel their suppressed emotions and give them an outlet through you.
I definitely saw and felt their suppressed emotions. So yeah, I gave them an outlet through me. My mom couldn't understand why I was so sensitive to the jokes. My mom's a joker, and I didn't like people making fun of serious issues or of other people. She thought in time I'll find making fun of my baby photo funny, but I didn't. And eventually she stopped making fun of the photo.
Being the joker is often a role you play and normally covers up previous hurts. It is better to laugh about the difficult situation than to express your feelings. It is easier for others to accept you when you are making a joke than when you express your emotions. Being a joker could be about wanting to be accepted, not about being counter-dependent. Joking is done to please others and to ease tension. The counter-dependent person decides that it is safer to stay in a bubble because it is a safer place there. It doesn't matter who you connect with and what you do, you will inevitably get hurt. It is less painful to be lonely than to get disappointed and hurt by someone.
It's easier for others to accept you when you are making a joke than when you go into your emotions. So the story of my mom goes as follows. She grew up a joker, and she still is. And now that I've been doing the healing work, I know there has been a lot of difficult emotions in her family line. Up until she was 3 years old, she used to have a severe asthma attack and would be rushed to a doctor. Her grandmother didn't know about asthma attacks at that time, so she used to tell her that when she was a toddler, she used to die, and Dr. Ngam would wake her up. Asthma attacks can be life-threatening, so I can't imagine what kind of sadness and stress it caused the family. So maybe my mom chose to be a joker in order to soften things. Throughout my life and with the difficult things she has gone through, she has always made light of things. It's only recently that I've noticed that she does go a little bit into the hurt or pain. I think she still has a journey to travel as far as expression of her emotions is concerned.
The systemic constellation work has established that you will choose a partner according to the level of your availability to someone else. If you are 50% available, you select a partner who is also only 50% available to you or to others. There is the possibility that you saw your parents emotionally not being open, but it was a perfect match for them. And they more than probably understood each other perfectly well. Going back to the question of who is invested and how much in your relationship, what if there is a part of you that is not available for your partner? And this part is happy with the part of his that is not available to you. The systemic work shows the answers to these type of questions, but it goes beyond and is also able to heal the part that is not available to your partner. When that part of yours opens up towards your partner, a part of your partner can open up towards you.
Kings always say these things that hit us in some way. So how available are you to the other? So how available are you to the other? Not yourself, but because that will determine the availability of the partner you choose for yourself. That is so profound, Kings. And the best place to end this episode is right here. Dear listener, if this episode has touched you in any way, do share it with the next person.
We would like to thank you for your contribution in helping us to be chosen into the top 10 South Africa Family Podcast by FeedSpot. Join our monthly virtual connection circle every first Tuesday evening of the month. To receive your link, subscribe on our website www.uniqueyetconnected.com or check for updates on our socials at uniqueyetconnected.
In the next episode, we will still explore the natural stages of a romantic relationship, focusing on the counter-dependent stage.
If you feel like you are experiencing limiting patterns or relationship issues and would like to have an individual session, book a family constellation session with us on our website www.uniqueyetconnected.com or on our socials at Facebook or Instagram. Our handle on both platforms is at uniqueyetconnected.
A big thank you to you for listening to our episode, and to Nick Mons from That Guide Productions for making us sound fabulous and on point. Episode 63 is in 2 weeks' time from now, tuning on the 19th of January 2025 from 10 a.m. South African Standard Time. We'd like to remind you that our episodes are online and they're evergreen. You can still listen to them even after the mentioned date. For the links and updates, stay tuned to our Facebook and Instagram pages at Unique Yet Connected, Unique spelled YOUNIQUE. Stay unique, stay connected, and remember, you are one of a kind, and we can only create a really meaningful podcast together. Siyabulela, Kosonom. Thank you.
Thank you. Siyabulela, Kusanam.